Hey guys, how's it going? I hope everyone's having a great new year. I know the news has already been pretty terrible so far, but wishing you all the best. And welcome to my live stream on Go Do Your Own Research. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and please hit the like button. My New Year's resolution is to keep saying that because I always forget. So, as you may have seen from the thumbnail, this morning I went to check the docket on the Blake Lively versus Wayfarer parties lawsuit. Hey, online BS pod. Hey, bestie. And yeah, I saw there'd been some new filings and I was like, ooh. So it turned out it was an email that had been entered onto the docket, and attached to the email, so this is the email, Exhibit H, attached to the email was the entire transcript of Justin Baldoni's deposition. And I'm like, I've already done 2 episodes reading through his deposition, but this is like 343 pages, so there's so much more because we got the edited version before, and now a lot of the conversations that were cut off, we can see a lot more detail, and I've had a little skim through it, so I can give you a couple of little things I've seen that they're saying. Did you know that you've become a hero in the MAGA movement? And did you know you've become a hero or the poster boy in the He Too movement? And I'm like, the He Too movement? Like, I had no idea there was one. But it ties in very much with what we've been saying about the alleged smear campaigns being connected to Brian Friedman and Jed Wallace. So we're going to get onto that later on. But yeah, let me show you this email. So it said, wait, you know, skimming a bit too quickly. Please see the attached deposition transcript of Justin Baldoni with confidentiality designations pursuant to the protective order. The highlighted portions of the transcripts are designated as confidential. The rest of the testimony is hereby de-designated. There shall be no change to the pre-existing designations of documents marked as exhibits. All rights are reserved. Thanks, Jason. So Jason is from Brian Friedman's law firm. And I can't believe that they have this as their signature on their company emails. A quote from THR, which is the Hollywood Reporter, the go-to for alpha dogs who see themselves as the underdogs in a crisis. I mean, it's kind of very fits in with what the He Too movement describes itself as. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to skim past, because they've actually uploaded the whole document with the bits that were meant to be redacted. So I'm not going to show Justin Baldoni's new address. But I am going to show where it says video recorded deposition of Justin Baldoni, Los Angeles, California, Monday, 6th of October, 2025. Okay. So now I'm going to do a very, very, very quick skim to Hopefully no one will be able to read this. We're going to get to page 22. So that's where we're going to start. I meant to say, actually, can you hear me okay? I hope you can hear me okay. So, and some of these I have already read, so some bits I might skim over, but this bit, for example, they've kind of padded out the transcript we had before, so we now have more detail. So this is Gottlieb questioning Justin Baldoni. So he says, you didn't speak to Jamie Heath about it. They're asking him about who he's been in contact with about these depositions and whose depositions he's sat in on. You didn't speak to Jamie Heath about it, about the subject of my deposition, or the fact that you would be having a deposition. Oh, yes, sorry. I misunderstood the question. I thought you meant like the content of my deposition. No problem. Anyone else that I would be deposed? Sure. Jennifer Abel, my family, my wife, the Baha'i prayer group. I'm joking. But I'm pretty sure he would have messaged the Baha'i prayer group chat. Oh, there we go. We had a prayer gathering last night with a lot of friends, so they were aware that I was being deposed. But that's all I can think of at the moment. Yeah. Did you speak to Melissa Nathan about your deposition at all? I have not. Did you speak to Steve Sarowitz about your deposition at all? I did speak to Steve Sarowitz. We were together here at his deposition. When you spoke to Steve Sarowitz about your deposition, was there an attorney present? Yes. When you spoke to Jen Abel about your deposition, was there an attorney present? No, that was over the phone. What did you discuss with Jen Abel about your deposition? It wasn't a conversation about the deposition. It was like, you're going to do great. I'm sorry. I really have lost all respect for this guy. Not that I really had much, but he deserves me giggling. And she was letting me know she was going to be there, but there was no content that was discussed. Anything else? She might have said just to keep being honest and shine your light or something to that extent. And when you spoke to Jamie Heath about your deposition, was there an attorney present? Jamie and I speak all the time. So it may have come up at one point when it was just us or our families together, but I don't know. Can you recall anything about your conversations with Jamie Heath about your deposition at any point in time when there were not attorneys present? Most of the relationship with me and Jamie is bolstering each other and just reminding, like a brother reminds me who I am. It is a little bit annoying because they've put like 4 pages to a page on this document, so I'm gonna have to keep going back to get to the right-hand side. I can't think of any other details. It's more like positive encouragement. These are pretty intense things, so kind of like a friend or a coach, or you got this. Have you spoken to Jamie about this deposition? No, it's been I'm first. So it's been focused on mine. How would you characterize your relationship with Jamie Heath? He's one of my best, closest friends. How long has he been one of your best, closest friends? I've been married, I would say 15, 14 years, maybe 14 years. Were you friends before you began working together, or did you work together before you became friends? So I'm guessing he's been friends with him as long as he's been married, or after he was married for a year. Were you friends? Uh, we were friends before we began working together. How would you characterize your relationship with Jen Abel? Well, she was my publicist first, and then I think through, I like to think of the people I work with as friends. So I would have considered her a friend. I think through this experience we've gotten closer, but I would have considered her my publicist. And how would you characterize your relationship with Melissa Nathan? A friendly publicist who, you know, we don't know each other very well. I think this is the second time we met in person. But like everyone else in this case, I think that the bond of being in this situation we're in has maybe brought us closer together. But friendly, except when she's swearing and calling people a B word. Prior to the deposition, or sorry, the C word even, prior to the deposition, did you have any role in helping to gather your documents, emails, texts, voice notes to be produced by your attorneys as discovery in this case? Can you ask that again? Sure. Are you aware that some of your documents, text messages, those things that ping onto your phone, emails, etc., have been given to the plaintiffs in these cases as part of the discovery process? Don't answer that. This is his lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro, interjecting. Don't answer that to the extent it calls for information provided by your attorneys to you. Justin, yes. Ms. Shah. Sorry, it's Ms. Shah questioning. I thought it was Gottlieb. Did you have any role in helping to gather those materials? I think so. What was your role? I had to hand over my phone multiple times to, I don't know, I think they are called like data scientists. That's what I can remember right now. There were, I think I had looked through for various emails. I don't remember the content of, to just make sure that people had everything, or texts that people had everything they needed. What is your preferred method of communication? Objection. I don't mean in an existential sense. I mean in a practical sense. Do you like to text? I can answer that. Yes, he does. Do you like to email? Do you like to call on the phone? Do you like to leave very long voice notes at 2 in the morning? It depends. Am I in a lawsuit or not in a lawsuit when I'm communicating? Let's start with a lawsuit. Okay, text, but I'm pretty bad at it these days. So, do you use Apple iMessage? Oops, I got ahead of myself. Where was I? Sorry. Oh, we have some more people in the chat. Hey, everyone. So glad you're here. Right. I've just messed up. Oh my God. So sorry. Right, here we go. Do you use email to communicate? I get a lot of emails, but I'm not good at responding to them. I do respond at times, but it's generally pretty short. Do you use WhatsApp messaging to communicate? I'm on WhatsApp threads with various people. Do you use Signal to communicate? Since the lawsuit, I do, yeah. Got to use those disappearing messenger apps. Before the lawsuit? No. Since the lawsuit, who have you used Signal to communicate with? Mostly my attorneys, the people that are the defendants, some friends. Do you use Telegram to communicate? No. Do you ever send voice notes? Yeah. Do you ever record phone calls that you're a participant in? I certainly have from time to time. Do you do that frequently? No. Did you ever record any phone calls or Zooms with the participants in this case? In which case exactly? I wonder which case they're talking about, Justin. Either the Blake Lively case or the Stephanie Jones case. Yes. How many times would you estimate you recorded the phone calls or Zooms? 2 to 4, maybe 4 times, maybe, might be 3. Am I correct to understand that's 4 times ever that you recorded phone calls or Zooms with any of the participants or witnesses or people involved in the events that underlie either of these litigations? I don't do it often, so I imagine it was around 4, 2 to 4. I'd have to take a lot of pausing to really think about that, which I think is between 2 and 4. Why don't we say 4? How about in-person meetings? Objection. One that I can think of. What is that one? I recorded an improv acting session between Jenny Slate and Miss Lively that you were also a participant in. I was. Where were you located when you recorded that? At our production offices in Hoboken, New Jersey. Where was Miss Slate located? In New Jersey. She was with you? Yeah. Where was Miss Lively located? I assume she was at her house, which is in New York. Other than that one in-person meeting, can you think of any other in-person meetings that you recorded that involved any of the participants in the events underlying these cases or had anything to do with the events underlying these cases? Objection. At the moment, I can't. Are you aware that your counsel produced to us last night 4 recordings? Objection. To the extent it calls for information provided by your attorneys that appear to be recordings by you or phone calls or in-person meetings having to do with the case. Same objection. I would imagine that they would. Are you aware that they were produced last night? Objection. Directing you not to answer anything to the extent it calls for information you only know from your attorneys. So I think that I went over this bit in the last reading. So I might skip past this bit because I do vaguely remember him being asked about where people were located when he was recording them without their knowledge. Because for anyone who's in the UK, if you don't know, different states in the US have different rules regarding recording phone calls with people and consent. With some states, you need to get consent from both parties, from others you don't. So we're on to, do you recall ever recording a call with Stephanie Jones? No. Do you recall ever recording a call with Jen Abel? I don't. Do you recall ever recording a call with Melissa Nathan? No. Other than the one improv session where Jenny Slate and Blake Lively were present that we spoke about, do you recall ever recording a call with Blake Lively? No. Do you recall ever recording a call with Tim Miller? I don't know who that is, nor do I. Okay, other than the one call that we've spoken about that you recorded with Ange Giannetti, Ange Giannetti is an executive producer at Sony, in case you don't know. You said you might have recorded 2 to 4 calls relevant to these litigations. Do you remember any others? Yes. Meaning, okay, sorry, please tell me about them. Is it, do you want to finish your question? No, it's all right. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know, it's all right. I was trying to ask a better question, but I think I. Do you mind re asking the question? Other than the one call we've spoken about with Ange Giannetti, do you recall recording any other calls? Yes. Okay, please tell me about those. I recorded a part of a call with Sean Levy. Who is Sean Levy? Sean Levy is a director and apparently a very close friend of Ms. Lively and Mr. Reynolds. Yeah, we've definitely read this bit in the last reading, so I'm going to skip past it. But he felt threatened by the Sean Levy phone call, so he decided to start recording it for whatever reason. We're still not clear. But I think it's sounding to me like he's not really being honest about how many times he's recorded people. I'm only skipping past it because there's much more interesting bits coming up. Okay. So this bit is really interesting because Justin's defense has always been, or his argument has always been, that because of Blake Lively's behavior during this movie, during and after this movie, he was dropped by his agent, WME. And so this bit of the conversation relates to a conversation going on between him and his agent at WME. He said there may have been assistance on the WME side, or I'm not sure. When you say your former agent at WME, do you mean Danny Greenberg? I do. Was your understanding of that call that it was a call between Jamie and Danny Greenberg? I actually don't know much about the call, so I can't answer that. To your understanding, how were you being threatened at the time by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds? My understanding was that there were demands being made that I release some sort of public statement that had been drafted by Mr. Reynolds and Ms. Lively and given to an agent. And I had been told there were multiple calls that were incoming from the agency saying that if Justin doesn't release a statement, then they will. Ms. Lively and Mr. Reynolds will leave William Morris. So when I read that, I was like, wow, this is completely the opposite of what he described. He did not say that Blake Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, had said, look, if he doesn't put out a statement, we're going to leave William Morris. Well, not that I've been aware of anyway. And by the way, the reason why they asked for a statement to be put out was because of all the trolling that was going on and the articles saying that there was a feud and all this other stuff, which we now know came from Melissa Nathan and her little crew. although some people are still trying to deny that. There's literally no denying it now. So yeah, I thought that was a bit of a bombshell. And also the fact that he says we were being threatened, like they weren't necessarily threatening it. They were obviously very upset and they had that leverage to use. I mean, they weren't threatening him. They were just saying, this is how upset we are. That's my interpretation of it. I was told that the agency called numerous times, and this evidently was a phone call on which a statement was read that was prepared by Mr. Reynolds and Miss Lively. And the only other thing I remembered about it was that it was inferred that if this wasn't done, the gloves would come off. When were you told? Let's start with this. When were you told about that phone call? I presume hours after it happened. And when were you told that phone call had been recorded? I feel like early 2025, I think. Have you ever listened to that recording? I have not. Do you know where Jamie was located when he made that recording? I would assume in Los Angeles. Do you know if he informed any of the people on the call that he was recording it? I don't. Do you know where Danny Greenberg was located during that call? I don't. Do you know where Jen Abel was during that call? I wasn't there, so I don't. Can you describe for me, in your own words, what you do for a living? I just want to go back for a minute because I did skip past it, but now I'm realizing that maybe I shouldn't have skipped past it. Oh, so the lead-up question was, does Jamie Heath often record phone calls to your understanding? So what they're saying is that Jamie Heath recorded the conversation he had with his agent at WME, William Morris Endeavors, literally one of the biggest agents in Hollywood, and Jen Abel, without informing them or asking for their consent to record. Just so we're clear. And that he was made aware that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were that upset about his behavior and his retaliation, their perceived retaliation at her and him, actually, that they said, if this doesn't stop, we're going to leave this agency. So this is a very new narrative coming through. I'm understanding. Oh, sorry. I skipped ahead. They were asking him about his role. Can you describe for me, in your own words, what you do for a living? That's a good question. I'm a filmmaker, an actor. I've been an author. I hosted a podcast. And I am part owner of a studio. I guess I'm an entertainment entrepreneur, maybe. The part owner of a studio? The studio you're referring to is Wayfarer, is that right? Yes, ma'am. What is your percentage ownership of Wayfarer? Somewhere between 20 and 25%, I think. And the remaining ownership, is that held by Steve Sarowitz? Yes. Does anyone else have any part ownership in Wayfarer? There are. I'm not sure contractually if anyone does, but there are. I know there are two. There might be three people that have like promises of equity or ghost stock, or I don't know if anything's been formalized. Who are those 2 or 3 people? Jamie Heath, Ahmed Colachet, and Tara Hanks, I believe. Going through each of them, do you have an understanding of why they've been promised ghost equity or some sort of promise of equity in Wayfarer? I believe so. Can you tell me? I will start with Ahmed. We definitely read this before. So both him and Jamie have this complete lack of understanding of financial structure of the business, of what their ownership in the business is financially. I mean, it's kind of beggars belief in a way that they're this ignorant, but that's their story. So we definitely read through this bit before when he was talking about how they divided up the equity of the company. And Jamie in his deposition was completely unsure about what his role was, how much he got paid, even though he was the CEO. So we're going to get on to how Steve Sarowitz came on board as the primary investor. Would you say it's accurate that you and Steve Sarowitz co-founded Wayfarer Studios? Yeah, I think so. When did that happen? I believe officially it was around the time of the pandemic, so early 2020. But I know it was starting to happen, like there were conversations in 2019. I just don't know the exact date the papers were signed or things like that. And how did that come about? The starting of Wayfarer Studios? I had always wanted to have the means to create movies that I thought could make a difference and help people. And Steve had a very similar worldview. And he wanted to make movies that could help people too. So we started Wayfarer. How did you come to know Steve Sarowitz? I first met Steve when he was making a film called The Gate. It was a story of the Barb, who was a central figure in the Baha'i faith, and we were introduced because he said he didn't know what he was doing. And he needed some guidance. And so I helped him out, and we became friends, and we have a shared faith. Do you know approximately when this was that you were introduced to him? Now, this is very interesting to me. I don't. I feel like maybe 2016 or 2017. Would you say there's a common thesis? No. Wait, did I do that right? By the way, the reason why I keep losing my place is because I have an extremely dodgy cursor. Right, no, I was jumping ahead. Okay. Mission at Wayfarer Studios behind the types of projects that you take on. That's something we aspire to. Okay, the reason why I said I find that very interesting. Oh, we've got let me go to the comments. We've got a great little comment there. Hey, Kayla. Josh Greenstein, the president of Sony Pictures, already suspected Abel of planting negative stories and reminded her it would hurt the film. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened. These people are honestly treating us like we're stupid. When I say these people, I mean the Wayfarer parties. I mean, in their defense, a lot of people out there are very stupid and have bought into their bullshit. And that's why my videos get like 100 views on this subject. But whenever I check the timeline or the recommended, sorry, there's people like Popcorn Planet, Shusty Flaw, a whole bunch of people that just put out these bullshit stories without a crystal ball. They put out these bullshit videos every day saying Blake's hiding her evidence, Blake Lively did this, da 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 da. Like, never tell the truth about any of this. Yeah, the proposed statement, Kayla, it does come up later. But yeah, I mean, it was in the messages between Melissa and Jen Abel where Jen Abel was like, they want to put out a statement. And Melissa was like, no, that's career suicide. He needs to get a lawyer. And she literally said, Brian Friedman will do it. She either wanted him to use Brian Friedman or another lawyer called Ashley. Like, now that we can put everything together, we literally see the actual timeline of what happened. I'm better off not being too well known. They're doing everything they can to smear content creators defending Lively. I mean, the thing is, there's not really too much they can smear me for, but you know, I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine with it. I think I've said this before. I think the reason why some of the content creators on Reddit, for example, and I've actually thought about like just going on a live, like literally showing you how stupid these supporters are, or just any day you go to a Reddit forum about this case, you will just literally show how ignorant, you will see how ignorant and ridiculous these supporters are. But yeah, I think in a lot of cases, well, in a couple of the cases of the people that have been trolled a little bit, it's become from TikTok. I think MJ is probably handling it the best. I really respect MJ and I really respect her content and her takes. But yeah, she handles it really well. She doesn't get involved at all. And that's the best way you can be about this stuff, because these people are not well in the head. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit distracted with the chat. So let me get back to where I was. But thank you very much for your input, as always. Right, where was I? Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. The reason why I say I find it very interesting, the timing of him meeting Steve Sarowitz, is because I recently found out that Justin Baldoni presented an award at the ADL dinner in 2015. The ADL is the Anti-Defamation League. Scooter Braun works for them. In fact, while this whole thing was going on, Melissa Nathan was working with Scooter Braun on an ADL project, which was some like exhibition that recreated the scene of a music, it was like a music festival that had been attacked, and they were doing this touring show of it. But yeah, Steve Sarowitz also has openly shown his support for the IDF on his LinkedIn page, I should say. Yet he claims to only to not put any violent films on at his cinemas. So clearly they're all aligned in that area, and I believe Steve Sarowitz very much is on the political side of that organization. So yeah, I find the timing very interesting. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's crack on. Yeah, because I mean, look, I don't want to get too much into the politics of it, but Iran, when I first looked up Baha'i, in Iran, the Baha'i faith is not looked upon favorably at all. So they very much take up that position of the Anti-Defamation League. But this idea that they're making movies or making movies that make people feel, films that can make people heal. We can bring people together, help people recognize their shared humanity. They're either delusional or completely ignorant. I think it's maybe a mixture of both, but if your starting point is supporting what they support, none of the rest of it that they're saying is valid. How many films has Wayfarer made? I'm going to fail this test. Does that include films that we didn't make, that we invested in? Yes. And why don't you explain to me which are which? Our business model is a little fluid in that we will finance and make films, and also we will join other films that are being made and then finance them, or be minority partners in films if they need, like finishing funds. I don't know. This is my answer, unfortunately. So no one in this business knows anything about anything. Let me just tell you that. Because he's the owner and chairman, and Jamie's the CEO, and neither of them can answer any of these questions. It's ridiculous. And Steve Sarowitz apparently has nothing to do with the day-to-day, so he doesn't know. Sticking with the number of films that Wayfair has financed and made itself, can you give me a rough number or list of any of them? Or list any of them? Financed and made, I feel like we're in the, again, I can't be held to this because, like, I'm going to guess in the 15 number. And then in terms of films that Wayfarer has invested in or provided finishing funds for, can you give me a rough number or name any of them? Garfield, Angry Birds. These are films that are helping people, guys. They're helping change the world. There are a few others that I just can't. I apologize. I can't think of the names right now. In terms of the 15 or so films that Wayfarer has financed and made itself, can you give me any names? Sure, Clouds. And these also aren't just us alone. We had partners in a lot of these. Clouds. I believe Clouds is it's something to do with one of the cast members made a song or something. If anyone's like super into this, I it's in the back of my mind. But yeah, I just feel that there's something dodgy about every single film they make, where they've like taken the story idea from someone else, or do you know what I mean? Sure, Clouds, and these also aren't just us alone. We had partners in a lot of these. Clouds, Nice Indian Boy, Code 3, The Senior, Empire Waste, Black is Beautiful. I think it's called Blackballed, Eleanor the Great. It Ends with Us. I think one of them, is it Empire Waste, is Claire Iobes. I think at least she kind of retains some kind of direction and control over that film for herself. Where was I? Question: 5 Feet Apart. Who did that film? CBS Films. But Wayfarer Entertainment got a production credit, but there was no financing. Is Wayfarer Studios profitable? I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe this. By the way, I don't know if they're gonna talk about it, but, uh, 5 Feet Apart, that is the film that he was accused of taking the script idea from, the guy that passed away who was in My Last Days. Travis Flores' family. Travis Flores sued Justin Baldoni for stealing his script using Brian Friedman. Can you believe that? As his attorney. And now Travis Flores' family are suing Brian Friedman, I think, for messing up that lawsuit. Honestly, this whole situation is so insane. Right, we're going back to if they're making a profit. I don't know, and I don't know how we would quantify that. I don't believe so. I mean, I just can't believe it. I can't believe he's this ignorant of his own business. The guy that goes to Skid Row and says, "There is no rich, there is no poor," but he doesn't even know if his own company makes a profit. Wow. Must be lovely not having to worry about those things, Justin. Are you the co-chairman of Wayfarer Studios? I am. Do you hold any other titles with respect to Wayfarer Studios? I do not. And what are your responsibilities as co-chairman of Wayfarer Studios? Mostly thinking of the future direction of where I would like to see the company going. I assist with creative. That's pretty much it. Do you have any responsibilities with respect to the financial of Wayfarer Studios? No. Do you have any responsibilities with respect to the day-to-day operation of Wayfarer Studios? No. Would you say that Sarowitz is the money guy and you're the creative force behind Wayfarer Studios? Sarowitz is quite creative, but I think that would be a fair observation or summary of how the relationship started. Has that changed over time? Somewhat, I believe. Steve's got much more involved in the creative. And I think that's, yeah. Do you have any responsibilities for Wayfarer's contractual relationships? No. Do you ever review contracts before Wayfarer signs them? No. Do you have to approve any of the contracts that Wayfarer enters into before they're entered into? No. Do you? This is really what he's saying. Do you always star in the films that Wayfarer produces? No. How many of them have you starred in? 1. It Ends With Us? Yes. Do you always direct the films that Wayfarer produces? No. How many have you directed? 2. Which ones? Clouds and It Ends With Us. How long were you a working actor before you founded Wayfarer Studios? I've been a working actor for, well, I didn't work this year. I'm so sorry, not sorry. But if we include this year, 21 years, and this is embarrassing math. 2019, 5, 6, so 15 years or so. You've mentioned a share faith with Steve Sarowitz. What faith is that? The Baha'i faith. Before we go there, I'm just going to Go back to the chat for a minute. Was not expecting this to come around to Jewish conspiracy, Jesus Christ. This has nothing to do with Jewish conspiracy, floral arrangement. I can absolutely 100% assure you this has nothing to do with Jewish people. The Anti-Defamation League is a specific lobbying organization which claims to be against hate against Jews, but actually will target Jewish people if they don't support the killing of people in Palestine. So that is not a Jewish or anti-Jewish conspiracy. Let me just say that. You admire my thorough work. You didn't mean, no, you didn't disrespect me at all. I just wanted to see if anyone knew about the clouds thing. Why doesn't he say 3? There's only one number between 2 and 4. I think the reason why he couldn't say how many phone calls he's recorded is because he literally is a very bad liar. I'm going to give him that. Right. Yeah, we're going to get on to Claire Io because that comes up. Okay, whoops. Where was I? Okay, the Baha'i faith. How did you come to the Baha'i faith? I was born into the Baha'i faith. And then at 15, as is customary for all Baha'is, I was given the choice to decide if I felt I was a Baha'i. We believe in the independent investigation of truth. That's a very interesting statement there. The problem with the independent investigation of truth is sometimes you have to learn things that you didn't know already or that you might not necessarily have believed in before. That's why it's independent. Where was I? So the idea that we don't just become something because our parents are. So at 15, I decided that I was a Baha'i. Do you think the tenets of that faith influenced the mission or thesis behind Wayfarer Studios? I believe so, yeah. How so? As Baha'is, we're told that our work should be a form of service. And so I've always operated with the belief that whatever it is that I do, whether it's in entertainment or anything else, I wanted to find a way for it to be of service. And with Wayfarer Studios, we just wanted to apply some of those same tenets to the studio. The idea that we can create things that elevate consciousness in some abstract way, but without being preachy. And with very universal themes like the elimination of prejudice, the belief in equality, the telling of stories that maybe don't always get told because no one wants to hear them. I'm joking. Because Hollywood doesn't maybe feel that they are worth telling. So in that sense, I believe that our faith has influence. Speaking of conspiracies, these people, I believe, like to make conspiracies about Hollywood. Hollywood's about money, end of. So in that sense, I believe that our faith has influenced. Over the course of your career or otherwise, have you ever received or been through any media training? I went through some media training on 5 Feet Apart. I'm not sure if I did any media training for It Ends With Us. I don't believe I did. Other than when you went through media training in relation to 5 Feet Apart, Can you think of any other times where you've received or been through any media training? As I sit here right now, I can't. Over the course of your career or otherwise, have you had any formal acting training? Like acting classes? Yes, yes. How about directing? No. Over the course of your career or otherwise, any time, have you ever received or been through any sort of leadership training? I think I've had coaching, but I can't think of any formal training. Can you describe for me that coaching? I can't remember much about it, unfortunately. Do you know about when that was? In my 20s, my late 20s, maybe. And other than this leadership coaching, have you ever been to any leadership seminars or programs? Like as an attendee? Yes. I can't think of any right now. In any other role than an attendee? I started speaking in my 30s, and I don't know if I ever spoke at one or not. Do you know a gentleman by the name of Labid Aziz? Yes. Who is he? Labid? Yes. Was the original COO of Wayfarer Studios. And when did he cease operating in that role? I think about a year into his role. Was he a good COO? I'm not sure I'm qualified to judge what a good COO is. Did you ever have any concerns personally with him in his role as COO? What were those concerns? I did. What were those concerns? I felt he would often promise things in a deal making that weren't possible. He was a bit of a wheeler and dealer. And there were certain instances where I did not feel he was telling the truth. Can you identify any of those incidents for me? I just remember getting phone calls saying, like, Labid said this or Labid promised this, and being very confused because that wasn't something that he could be promising. Well, that's what happens when you don't check contracts. It was important to me that we were always honest and that we didn't enter into deals with people and make promises that we couldn't keep. And I didn't always feel that integrity didn't always feel he operated with that integrity. Can you give me any specific examples? The one I can think of right now is my dad is also in the entertainment business. We went through this one on the last reading, so we're going to skip past that. But yeah. Justin's dad was someone who had a business in product placement marketing in movies. So he was kind of born into this life. I want to come back to the use of Signal. I think you testified earlier this morning that you had never used Signal before. Blake's complaint was filed in December of 2024. Am I getting that correct? I had the app, but I wasn't a participant, like doing anything on the app. Do you recall when you downloaded the app? I recall 2 different times that I had downloaded the app. The first time I ever heard of Signal was from Stephanie Jones, and I don't know how long ago that was. I feel like that was, I close my eyes sometimes because I visualize so I understand where I am. I believe it was in I think it was around 2020. She had told me that was her preferred method of communication, but we never communicated on Signal. And then I think your phone just gets rid of it when you don't use it. And then I downloaded it again. Oh yeah, we did. We read this bit. We read this bit in the last reading because he had it for a a group chat thing, a men's group. And Steve Sarowitz is in his own world. Sorry, guys, I just want to skip through bits that are not important because we don't want to keep repeating the same thing. So Jed Wallace, he said, I learned who he was around the time of the lawsuit. You learned who he was around the time of the lawsuit? What? I remember he referred to him as that guy we hired or something, but still, I mean, this complete ignorance that Justin is claiming is quite alarming if he's really the chairman of this company. Like, honestly, how they expect this business to run well if you really don't know who anyone is that's doing all this stuff for you. I think it's a very weak defense, personally. I knew who he was. I had heard the name Jed, but I learned who he was around the time of the lawsuit. Yeah. What do you mean who he was? Just around the time of the lawsuit. Mr. Baldoni, don't reveal any information that you learned from your attorneys. I learned his last name and that he was being sued. And that's when we met. When you say that's when you met, what do you mean? That's the first time we ever met in person? No, we never met in person. So when you say that's the first time you ever met, do you mean that's the first time you were ever on a direct communication with him? Yeah. Prior to that point in time, do you recall being on any communications, whether phone call, in-person meeting, signal, text, email, or any other form of communication, where Jed Wallace was also a participant that you were on? No. Before that time, do you ever recall hearing his name before? Objection. Whether orally, on a phone call, in a text message, in an email, or through any other form of communication. Objection. Yes. When? I believe around the time that after I met Melissa Nathan. Melissa Nathan introduced you to Jed Wallace, is that right? I have. I was never introduced to Jed Wallace. Melissa Nathan is the first person who ever mentioned the name Jed Wallace to you. Is that right? No, I don't believe so. Who is? I think it was Jamie. I think Jamie, yes. What do you recall about that instance where Jamie first mentioned the name Jed Wallace to you? I recall a brief conversation around Melissa's employees. And it was around that same conversation, I think, I heard the name Brianna and Jed, like they were part of a team or something. Or something. I say or something when I'm taking the piss. Was it your understanding around the time of that conversation that Jed was one of Melissa's employees or associated with Melissa's work? Mr. Glover objects. I don't think I had an understanding. I think I wasn't thinking about anything like that. Why were you not thinking about anything like that? I wasn't thinking about who was an employee or an associate. It was just, this is a team. I mean, I'm going to beg to differ on that because I know we've seen group messages where it says tag PR team, send it on the signal, send it on this chat, send it on that chat. But anyway, this will all come out in court when they show the evidence, I'm sure. Was it your understanding around the time of that conversation that as part of the team that was being brought on to help you with crisis comms, Jed Wallace would be part of that team, right? Yes. And you gained that understanding, at least at first, from Jamie Heath, is that right? I believe so, yes. So remember, at this time, they've been asked to fork out an extra 30K a month for this crisis comms expert because that wasn't included in how much Melissa Nathan charged. That was 15 grand a month. And your understanding around the time of that conversation was that Jed Wallace was going to come on as part of the crisis communications team to handle the social and digital side of things, right? Objection, form, objection. I'm not sure I was aware of that. I was just hiring crisis PR. I'm just silly Justin who doesn't know anything. And you had no awareness or understanding of what Jed did or was to do for you in the realm of crisis PR. I really hope this is leading somewhere. I still don't think I know what Jed does. Why do you say that? I would go and have a look at your comments section, Justin, and then you might find out. I like to think of myself as someone who is tech savvy or who understands the internet, but I don't. I guess I still don't think I really have ever grasped what he does. And that's because what he does with respect to the internet is highly technical and complicated, right? Objection? Maybe. What is it that you don't grasp about what he does with the internet? I know him to be someone that sends a lot of reports, like a lot of reports. So, what kind of reports? Like somebody who spends a lot of time on the internet Googling and looking up anything that is involved with this case or my name, and then presenting those reports and saying, this is what's happening. What's so complicated about that? Objection. Well, I don't know if that's what his job is. That's what I don't understand. How many of those such reports has he ever sent to you? Objection. I think that's privileged. Did he always ever send those reports to you at the time as he sent them to your attorneys? I've never got an individual report. So why do you know him as someone who sends reports? Instruct you not to. Yeah, I can't answer that. Answer to the extent that the answer comes from a communications with your attorneys. Did you come to the understanding that Jed Wallace sends these such reports before Blake's lawsuit was filed on December 20th? No. I'm sensing porkies, but I want to crack on, so I'm not going to get too much into what I think. You had hired Jed Wallace to be part of your crisis comms team in August of 2024. Objection. 2 objections. I didn't hire Jed Wallace. Who did? Objection. I assume. Don't assume anything. You understand Jed Wallace to be working at least in part on your behalf with Melissa Nathan's team during this crisis period in August of 2024, right? Objection. Form. Objection. I don't know if I understood that. What did you understand him to be doing in that time period? Objection. I don't know. Whatever Melissa was doing. Did you have attorneys involved in that time period? No. Objection. Form. When did you first get attorneys? December 21st or 22nd. Did you have any understanding from August of 2024 to December that Jed was creating any such reports for you? Objection. No. You only learned that after the lawsuits were filed in December of 2024. Yeah. When you learned that Jed was creating such reports in December of 2024, was it your understanding that he had only just started creating those reports after the lawsuit was filed, or that he had been creating them earlier? Objection. We're getting to the heart of the matter. Objection. And I direct you to not answer to the extent any information you have only comes from your attorneys. See, this is where it gets really confusing, because Brian Friedman is an attorney, but he's also an accomplice. I don't know. You don't know one way or another whether Jed only started creating these reports in December of 2024, or whether he had been creating them earlier. I cannot believe that Justin, having been an influencer, being involved in so many businesses as he has done to this point, did not expect to be sent reports of the work that his company was paying for, regardless of whether he knew whether it earned a profit or not. It's just really out there. Objection, and again, don't reveal any privileged communications of anything you learn from your lawyers. I genuinely don't know. You mentioned earlier that when you started using Signal to communicate after the lawsuits were filed, it was a group decision that involved a number of people and your attorneys. Yes. Which attorneys? Am I allowed to answer attorneys? Yeah, no. I'm going to direct you not to answer that question. You're going to direct him not to give me the names. This is the attorneys arguing. You're going to direct him not to give me the names of which attorneys were involved in the Signal chats? Shapiro, that's not what you asked. You were asking him about his discussions with his attorneys about using signals. Ms. Shah, who were the attorneys that were involved in the Signal chats? Shapiro, you can answer the names. Justin, Brian Friedman. You can totally get it. It's okay. Brian, Summer, Mitra, Jason, Teresa. Alexandria and Jonathan weren't on the team. Yeah. Whose idea was it to move your communications to Signal? I don't remember. Was it yours? I don't know. Is it possible that it was your idea? Objection? Yeah. Not Justin moving his communications to Signal. Did you understand the purpose of moving these communications to Signal to be that the messages would disappear? I understood that to be part of it, yeah. What was the other part of it? Getting hacked. You had concerns about your phone being hacked? Yeah. Okay. Privacy. In the time starting when the lawsuits were filed in December 2024, that you began using Signal with this group of people that you've described, in every single message that you sent or received, was there at least one attorney present on that message thread? Objection form. I'm sorry. Can you? It was a long question. Let me break it down for you. Since you began using Signal from the time these lawsuits were filed, and you would have been told to retain any communications pertaining to the case, was there an attorney present on every single message that you sent or received? Was an attorney present in every message I sent? No, because there were friends that reached out to me on Signal too. Which friends? That friend still trying to get me. Is your son okay? Sorry, yeah, he's fine. Just need to. These are brand new iPads. I apologize. That was the stenographic reporter. Okay, it's all right. Let us know if you want to take a break. What was the question? Which friends? Which friends texted me on Signal? Uh-huh. I remember my friend Brett texted me, my friend John. I wasn't responding to very many texts during that time. Ahmed. Sorry, Ahmed? Ahmed, sorry. I lost my voice this weekend. That's okay. Those are the three I can think about that are not in this lawsuit right now. No, we've not heard those names before. I've not heard Brett or John before. Of friends specific to your question. Anyone else? Mitts from Wayfarer. And can you repeat the question one more time? I just want to. Who can you recall, whether friends or otherwise, who texted you on Signal that was not part of your defendants and attorneys group? That's what I can think of right now. If more comes to me later, I will share. But they were not, when friends texted me, it was not about the lawsuit. They were just texting me. Were they in the habit of texting you on Signal before this? No. So they only started texting you on Signal after the lawsuits were filed? Yes. And they were texting to check in on how you were doing in the wake of lawsuits being filed. Objection? Yes. Did you respond to any of those texts? I'm sure I did. I had asked them to text only on Signal. You had asked them to text only on Signal? Had they texted you by a non-Signal method ahead of that? They had called. I was really not in a good place. I didn't want to talk. Do you have your cell phone on you right now? I don't. Do you have your cell phone in the back room? It's in a bag somewhere, probably. Do you always set your Signal messages to auto-delete? I set them to whatever the Signal auto thing is. Are you aware that when message threads originate on the Signal app, they do not self-delete? And you have to go in, and for each method, each message thread, if you want it to delete in a certain amount of time, you have to go in and change that setting. Objection. I thought it was the opposite, but now I know. I could be mistaken. Yeah, I thought it starts auto delete and then you have to stop it from, but you could be right and I could be wrong. Do all of your Signal message threads auto delete? No. There are some that do not auto delete. I believe none of our, if I'm allowed to say, none of our legal threads auto delete. Any of the non-legal threads that do not auto delete? Objection. I'm sure there are some. Have you manually deleted any Signal messages since these lawsuits were filed? No. During a break in this deposition, can you look at your phone, open your Signal app, and see whether there are any non-legal Signal threads still present on there? I'm going to object to that. Direct you. I'm going to object to that. You're going to instruct him not to do that? Yes. Okay. Would you be capable of doing that if not for your lawyer's instruction? I would hope so, with my hands and fingers and brain capacity. Are you going to follow your lawyer's instruction? I think I probably should. What do you recall texting with Mitts at Wayfarer about on Signal? This whole time period it was crazy, so give me a second. I believe I was sending Mitts screenshots of a lot of old text messages. Which old text messages? Things that I believed would help me in telling the truth about what actually happened. You know what would help you tell the truth about what actually happened, Justin, is actually just sending everything to Blake Lively's counsel so they could see that you never retaliated against her. And then we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it a year later. Text messages with Blake? No. Text messages with Stephanie Jones? I don't believe I shared any of those with Mitz. No. Text messages with Jen Abel? No. Text messages with Melissa Nathan? I didn't have any text messages with Melissa Nathan. I beg to differ. Text messages with whom then? My memory. Text messages with my health coach. Text messages with Don Saladino. Who is your health coach? Jennifer Benson. What does she generally do for you? She's not my current health coach. What should she generally do for you when she was your health coach? She tried to keep me healthy. How? Supplements, peptides, helping my immune system. What about your text messages with your health coach did you believe at that time would help you explain the truth of what happened? If my memory is correct, I was being accused of many things, but one of them was like putting Ms. Lively on a phone call with a dietitian, which was a lie and an extreme distortion of the truth. Who is Dan Saladino? He's a personal trainer. Is he Ms. Lively's personal trainer? I would assume so. And what about your text messages with him? Did you believe at the time would help you demonstrate the truth of what had happened? The communication between him and myself that showed that he was also working with me. How many screenshots do you recall sending to Mitz? I wish I could tell you. I don't know. More than 2? Yeah. More than 5? Probably. More than 10? That was a very hard time, I will say. More than 15? I don't know. More than 20? I don't know. I want to help you. I genuinely don't know. It's possible it was more than 20. Objection. That feels like a lot. I don't know. Is it possible it was more than 50? Objection. I would be very surprised. I wouldn't. That's a lot. Does your signal thread with Mitz auto delete? I don't know. I'm not sure. Have you gone back since this litigation, started to look at it to see if it's still there? No. Can you do that during a break? Objection. Are you going to instruct him not to do that? Yes, I am. Are you going to follow your counsel's instruction? I think I am. Are you capable of doing it if not for your counsel's instruction? I would like to think I am. Other than texts with your health coach and texts with Dan Saladino, do you recall sending to Mitz screenshots of texts involving anyone else? Not that I can think of. Do you recall sending to Mitz texts of screenshots that had anything to do with Stephanie Jones or Jones Works or the work that you did with Stephanie Jones or Jones Works? Objection. There was very little conversation about Stephanie Jones at all during this time. Why is that? Because I don't think she was top of mind. Oops. Went a bit too far back. Oh my God, I went so far back. Um, Sorry about that. Oh, I missed the bit about the men's health group. Oh wait. Oh no. That's what we're up to. Okay. Let me check the chat. Oh, it's getting deep. Oh, you had a Baha'i mentor? Wow. This is a trip. Yeah, welcome to. Honestly, it's very interesting. There's a guy I follow as well on YouTube who was a Baha'i. He was a former member of Baha'i, and he's kind of spoken out about it a little bit. But he's not really done any videos about it for ages. So I'm kind of waiting for an update. But he was doing a sort of expose with another guy, and then they fell out, so it all went a bit TU. Right. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. I think one thing I've sort of gathered about Baha'i is when you leave, as I imagine is the situation with other faiths like Jehovah's Witness, Scientology, you kind of get excommunicated. Like there's a lot of backlash. But this guy's been very outspoken about it. Okay, I think his name's DC Shepherd, if anyone's interested. You said you had either joined or tried to join a men's group that had a signal. And also another thing, there's an ex-Baha'i Reddit as well, I think. Not that I've really gone on it, but I've heard about it. What was that men's group? It was a group put on by a man named John Wineland, and I wasn't able to commit to the men's group. And commitment is a huge part of men's work. So they had added me to the chat, but then I let him know I wasn't able to commit. So then I was not a part of it. Why were you unable to commit? I was making a movie. What movie? It ends with us. You said commitment is a huge part of men's work. What do you mean by that? Men's work is based on agreements, and in order to feel vulnerable enough to show any parts of yourself that over the years you would be embarrassed or ashamed with, or to feel truly vulnerable so that you can do good work with and be with other men in a sacred space, there are agreements that have to be made beforehand, like commitment to show up on time, commitment to, not miss the meetings, commitment that you're able to actually attend the in-person retreat, because those agreements create safety. Had you ever done men's work in the past? Yes. Do you know what I was thinking about with all this men's work chat? You know the movie I watched over Christmas and it was so good? Valley of the Dolls. Was it Valley of the Dolls? Or no, sorry. I'm getting my Stepford Wives. Stepford Wives. And they have it's such an iconic film and it's so relevant to the present day. Because they moved to this town called Stepford, and there's a secret men's group, and the women, the wives, start being turned into robots, and all the men, like, it turns out the sort of men's group leader is invested in, like, AI technology. It's crazy. Anyway, let me not get distracted. But yeah, you can actually watch that movie on YouTube. Um, have you ever done men's work in the past? Yes. How many times? I think I think it could be considered that some of my daily practice is men's work, so I don't think I can give you a number. Over how many years? My 30s. What is the purpose of the men's work you do? If I were going to distill it, it would to attempt to be an open, kind man. Let's just let that sink in. Do you think men need to work on that in order to become that way? I think every human does. Then why is it called men's work and not people's work? What a question. What a good question, I should say. Because I believe I'm not going to I'm not the one who invented or created men's work, but I can give you my opinion if that's okay. Please. I believe that men have to do work with men. If you could see my face right now, I think that integration with men and women is more than likely very tricky. And I think that women do a lot of work with women. And I think that both men and women need safe spaces for healing. Healing what? How much time do you have? Give me the 35-second answer. Healing what? Collectively? Healing what? What do men and women need to heal from? Sure. Millennia of trauma, abuse, generations and generations of trauma that's been passed down from our families and parents, and interpersonal relationship trauma. I'm assuming that was 35 seconds. Do you have a practice of taking handwritten notes? Objection? At times? Describe that to me. I've always struggled in school. And sometimes when I'm listening to something, I need to write down. Sometimes it helps me remember. Do you carry a notebook dedicated to your handwritten notes? Sometimes. Do you carry it everywhere you go? No. You can only carry it sometimes. You only carry it sometimes. I don't have just one. I'm not like a journalist note taker that always walks around with it. No. Did you take handwritten notes in connection with your work on the film It Ends With Us? There were a few days that I did, yes. Only a few days? Did you take handwritten notes in connection with any of the publicity or other work you did with Jones Works or Stephanie Jones or Jen Abel while she was at Jones Works? No. Have you brought a notebook to take handwritten notes to these depositions? Yes. Uh-oh. Blake Lively and Steve Sarowitz the other day. Any others? No. One sec. Can you just give me 1 second, guys? Sorry, we've got a a personal situation happening I need to deal with quickly. BRB. You can talk amongst yourselves. Okay, sorry about that. Right, where was I? Yes, but for my lawyer. Isn't his lawyer sitting in on the depositions? Only for your lawyer? For both of us. Only for you and your lawyer. Yeah, I don't know who else it would be for. Do you still have those handwritten notes? I believe I do. Did you take any handwritten notes in preparation for your deposition? Objection. I direct you not to answer. It's on the record. What is that? I direct you not to answer. I'm directed not to answer. Can he answer a yes or no question? Did he take any handwritten notes in preparation for this deposition, yes or no? Yes. How many pages? I'm going to object to this line. This is work product. Are you instructing him not to answer? Yes, I am. Did you not just hear him say something about he wants to be shown to be truthful and honest? This doesn't really, it's not really giving transparency, this behavior. Okay, so they're basically telling him not to share his notes when he wants to be seen as an honest person. Okay, do you keep a diary? I wish I did. God, I wish I did. Is that a no? It's a no. I've wanted to, but do you have a practice of writing daily affirmations? Objection. Sometimes, yes. Do you write daily affirmations? Currently, no. Have you in the past? Yes. Have you in the past year? Possibly. Have you in the past 3 years? Yes. Do any of those daily affirmations bear on or relate to anything having to do with your work in connection with the film It Ends With Us or any publicity work? Objection. Not unless me saying I am confident and brave and strong. And I mean, if you think that, it's like those kind of affirmations. Yes. Guys, anyone from the UK? We had a comedy show by a guy called Steve Coogan back in the day. And he used to do this character. I guess it was like pre The Office, but he used to do this character that was kind of like a salesman type. And he used to stand in the mirror and go, "You are a tiger." It's totally what it's given me. That's British humour. Kayla, is that hard for a feminist to treat women as your peers rather than challenge? Exactly. I mean, the amount of times he's kind of been shown his own words here, which, you know, his biggest fear was that he was going to be shown to be a fraud. And yet he's literally admitting in his deposition that men and women have to be separate when his faith preaches that they should be equal. So doesn't make sense to me. He was keeping a diary as Ryle. Yeah, I don't know. I think the method acting is another one of his excuses. Sorry, I've got. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by someone texting me. Right, this is real life, guys. Real life is impacting on my live stream. Okay. When Wayfarer Studios was formed. No, wait, I missed a bit out. When did you first meet Stephanie Jones? I don't remember the year, but 2018, 2019, 2017. It's one of those 3 years. Do you remember when you first started working with Stephanie Jones or Jonesworth? I remember the feeling. Are you asking me, do I remember the day? Like the dates? Or the year? Or do you remember when in time? As I sit here, I can't remember the year or when in time. Did you meet Stephanie Jones long in time before you started working with her as a publicist? I believe I was introduced to her and we had a phone call, but I don't know how long after that we started working together. Was it years after the phone call? Uh-huh. I wish I could answer. I don't know exactly. Where were you in your career when you started working with Stephanie Jones as a publicist? I was on a TV show called Jane the Virgin. Had you had a publicist before that? Yes. Who was that? I had a few. Oh gosh, the name Sunshine rings a bell, or Sun. My first publicist's name was Siri before phones. I had a few. I'm so sorry. I don't remember the names of the organizations. Why did you switch to Stephanie Jones as your publicist when you began working with her? I heard she was amazing. Who did you hear that from? The person who introduced us said she had a lot of really good, great clients. And you began working with Stephanie Jones as a publicist in your personal capacity at first, right? Yes. As an actor? Yes. And then at some time thereafter, she began working also with Wayfarer Studios. Is that right? When Wayfarer Studios was formed, I was already a client of Stephanie Jones as an actor. Uh-huh. And then after Wayfarer Studios was formed, then the company, I believe, started to work with the company. Yeah. Okay. And after Wayfarer Studios was formed, Stephanie Jones worked as a publicist, both for Wayfarer Studios and for your personal publicity moving forward, right? The company did, yeah. The company being Jonesworks. Jonesworks, yeah. Okay. Did you feel at the time when you began working with Stephanie Jones, were you happy with her work? Objection. Can you be more specific? Do you feel she was supportive of your career? Well, he doesn't know what happy means. Yeah, yeah. Do you think she did good work for you as a publicist? Stephanie was never my personal publicist, so that's hard for me to answer. But I was happy overall with what the company was doing for me. How many times over the years would you say you communicated directly with Stephanie? Over the years? Like from the time you started working with her to the time you ceased working with her? I mean, we would text. Every once in a while, we would have a phone call. She'd always reach out and congratulate me if something was if there was something going on. She would send me words of encouragement if I was going to do something or if there was press, but I can't give you an exact number. Did you appreciate the words of encouragement when she sent them to you? I did. Did she come to know your family during the time she was working with you? Not intimately, but yeah, she did. Did you ever feel over the years, that you were working with her before you began filming It Ends With Us? Did you feel like you generally had a positive relationship with Stephanie Jones? Yeah. Did you feel That she was generally supportive of you and your career? Yeah. Did you feel like she and Jones Works did good work for you as a publicist? I believe they did. Would you agree that she took you on as a client at a relatively early stage in your career? I'm not sure about that one. She had a lot of big name clients then, right? Yeah. And you were relatively earlier in your career at that point than those big name clients, right? Objection. In comparison, yes. Yeah. From the time you began working with Stephanie Jones up until you began filming It Ends With Us, did you ever have any issue with Stephanie, with her? Can you repeat that question? From the time you began working with Stephanie Jones until the time you began filming It Ends With Us, did you ever have any issue with Stephanie Jones? Objection. I don't recall any issues. Like a personal issue, is that what you mean? Or professional issue? No. Did you ever have any reason to fire her? Objection. No. I can remember feeling she didn't have much time for me. But I'm also a realist to know that I'm not The Rock. I wonder who told him to say that. Or, so I understood that I was a client, but that she was having other people manage me and my career. Yeah, Tom Brady is another one of her clients. And isn't Jeff Bezos's wife, wasn't she one of her clients? These are like household names. Sorry, Justin Baldoni out of the US is not a household name. He definitely has a high opinion of himself. I guess the self talks work. So there were many times where I didn't feel she had time for me and that I was just kind of there. But there was no reason to fire her. No, not at all. I think that was quite a insightful answer there. Told us a lot. During the times when you felt she didn't personally have time for you, were there other publicists at Jones Works that did respond on the day for your issues? Oh, always, yeah. At some point in time, the publicist who was most responsible for the day today on your and Wayfarer's accounts at Jones Works was Jen Abel. Is that right? Yes. Did you work very closely with Jen Abel over that time? I did. Okay. During the time that Jones Works was your publicist, before the filming of It Ends With Us, did they ever help handle any controversies for you or Wayfarer? Any controversies? Would you help me with controversies? Anything you would consider to be a crisis? Nothing that became public. But if there was ever something that I felt like anxious about, yes. Does that include when you were sued in connection with 5 feet apart? Yes. Did you consider that to be a crisis? I felt like it was a crisis, yeah. Did Stephanie Jones help you in connection with that crisis? There was no PR. It wasn't like a big public thing. But I definitely remember calling her and Jen about it, yeah. Did she recommend a lawyer to you for that lawsuit? I don't remember. She might have. Were there times over the course of your relationship with Stephanie between when you first hired her and when you began filming It Ends With Us that you would request a phone call directly with her to deal with an issue? I don't think I ever had to request. I think I would just call her. Like it wasn't like a formal process. I would just call her. Okay. And she would be responsive. Yeah, she would always call me back if she didn't answer then. Do you recall ever making a comment to her that you never got on her voicemail? Question mark. I remember oftentimes telling Stephanie that she needed to take a break because she was always on, and joking with her like, "You got kids," and like, you can only imagine the phone calls and all the people that were she was getting, so I could imagine that I made that comment. Because I'm Justin and I like to be kind. Do you recall a time when you introduced her to Colleen Hoover? I think I do actually. What do you recall about that? I didn't until you just brought it up. But I recall learning that Colleen Hoover had done like nail polish or something for the book. And I couldn't believe it. And I believe she was getting backlash, which ultimately was terrible for the project. We were developing this movie, and I remember asking Colleen if she had anybody that was helping her make decisions like, and she said no. I said, I think you need a publicist. And so I introduced her to Stephanie Jones because you believed that Stephanie Jones could help her with the publicity issues she was experiencing. I imagine, though, that whoever she did the nail polish line deal with had a publicist. Um, I don't know off the top of my head what brand it was, but this seems to be a pretty common thing doing brand deals because Claire Iob did one as well for her movie. I believe that Stephanie could help her in general. I think that to be in the situation that Colleen was in and to not have any support or anyone telling you, like, maybe that's not a good idea, I thought Stephanie could help. And you trusted Stephanie at that time to help, right? Yeah. Do you recall introducing her to Colleen by saying, "This is my friend, Stephanie Jones"? I'm sure I did. I considered her a friend. Do you recall telling Colleen that Stephanie was a master a master publicist? Is that a tongue twister or is it me? A master publicist. I don't, but I could see myself saying that, yeah. Would that have been accurate in terms of your view at the time? Did you think Stephanie was a master publicist? Yeah. I called her a power publicist, but master publicist is pretty good. Do you recall a time when you learned that Business Insider, we're getting to some juicy bits, was planning to publish a negative story about Stephanie Jones? Yes. When did you learn that? The like year or month or as specific as you can give me. I know who I learned it from. Who was that? Stephanie Jones. What did she tell you? She told me, I don't remember the exact words, but she was very upset and she FaceTimed me crying. And she said that they're like trying to ruin her life or something. She was very emotional. I don't remember exact words. Did you feel for her in that situation? Objection. I did. It was very complicated. Why was it complicated? Because she was my publicist, and I was struggling during that period myself. I didn't have a lot of emotional bandwidth. I don't know where he gets these turns of phrase from, but I guess it's like therapy talk. And while I considered her a friend, I think there are different levels of friendship. Oh, oh, Justin. And that conversation, it felt like I might not have been the best person for her to be FaceTiming with these feelings. Why? Because I honestly read this earlier and I couldn't believe what I was reading. Because I was her client. She was meant to be my publicist, and it was the kind of call you might have with a therapist. Did you offer to write her a letter of support to the Business Insider reporter? After she asked me to, I did. And did you in fact do that? I did. I would like to hand you a document. We're going to mark this as Exhibit 1, please. Exhibit 1 marked for identification. For the record, this is a text thread between you and Stephanie Jones, dated July 3rd. It bears the Bates stamp of Jones Works 1434. Do you see this? Uh-huh. Do you recall this text thread exchanged between you and Stephanie Jones? Vaguely, but yes. And you write up at the top. She asks you if you would be open to writing a sentence or two for Business Insider about her and Jones Works. And you respond, "Hi, Steph. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'd be happy to." Do you see that? I do. Were you happy to? Being completely honest, I don't know if I was actually happy to. I think that was what you say, like, I think that was what you say, like, I'd be happy to. But you were willing to. Absolutely. And she goes on to describe the types of things that might be appearing in the Business Insider story and the things that the reporter was saying when they were calling her clients. Do you see that? So, if anyone's interested and they haven't already, I did a read through of Stephanie Jones' whole lawsuit and I actually looked up the Business Insider article they're talking about here and we looked through it. Do you see that? Is this paragraph 2? Paragraph 2 through the end of page. Okay, and do you see at the bottom where she writes, also, they wouldn't say a man was aggressive or tough or intense. Those are the words they're using when they call clients. Do you see that? I do see that. You write, "I'm sorry you're going through this." Of course not. It's gendered. Do you see that? I do. What did you mean by it's gendered? I was just, again, I don't remember exactly what I was feeling in this moment. I know I do remember feeling again like this to me, it made me uncomfortable. I didn't want to tell her that because she was going through so much. It was interesting to be asked by your publicist, whose job it is to handle public relations, to make a public statement for your publicist. So I know I felt uncomfortable. And from what I'm reading, she says, they wouldn't say a man was aggressive or tough or intense. So I think I was agreeing with her, trying to make her feel seen by saying, of course not, it's gendered. So basically being fake. And the thing that got me about this whole thing is the fact that he literally put at least 3 or 4 people that we know of who were working for him in this exact same position, to the point where they had to go and speak to HR about it and say, or asked to speak to HR about it, and had to have it written into their safe to return to work requirements because he kept having emotional breakdowns in front of people. But now he's sitting here saying, she made me feel so uncomfortable. She's meant to be my publicist. I shouldn't be having to write a professional word for a professional publication about her being smeared by someone I'm about to hire. Sorry. So I was under the assumption that what she was saying was that the words we use to describe men are not used in the same way to describe women. So that's, I'm assuming, what I meant when I said it's gendered. And that the words being used to describe women, like those that she wrote here, are used negatively, whereas they would not be used negatively as against male professionals. Is that what you understand she was saying? Justin, what happened to safe spaces? What, just in case anyone hasn't picked up on this, because there's so much, but what she's saying is, look, if a man behaved like this, they wouldn't be getting criticized for it. That's what she's saying. Objection, objection. I believe that's what she was saying. I'm just not sure I fully agree, but I believe that's what she was saying. Do you not agree with that? Objection. I think that a man being called aggressive, tough, or intense would also be considered a negative statement. But the thing is, this is where we're sussing him out, sussing out his bullshit. He wants people to believe that a man being aggressive and intense is them being vulnerable and in their wound. So therefore, it shouldn't be held against them. Do you think that the press would write articles about a male CEO being aggressive or intense or tough? Objection. The same way they would about a female CEO? Objection. I don't believe we can make an absolute statement like that, because I've definitely read things where press would say a man was aggressive or tough or intense in a negative way. Do you believe that the press is more apt to write negative articles about a female CEO being aggressive or tough than they are about a male CEO being aggressive or tough? Objection. I want to help you here. I just don't know if we want to debate about gender, because I'm not an expert in, like, how many articles are written from a male or female perspective. I know that I have seen many articles putting down male leaders by using aggressive, tough, or intense. Wow. This is the guy that's, I think they're going to get onto it, but this is the guy that sent the Hailey Beaver thread and said this is what we need. And I also know that there are much more male CEOs than female CEOs. So again, I'm not a gender studies major, so I couldn't give you. But what I can say is that oftentimes when a woman is, we'll say tough. That I think maybe people aren't as used to it because oftentimes men have been in positions of power. I don't know if that's helpful to you at all. I wonder if they coached him about that. Justin, if they ask you something and it's going to make you look stupid, say, I'm not an expert on it. Are we debating whether or not the press is more apt to write negative articles about a female CEO being aggressive or tough than they are to write articles about male CEOs being aggressive or tough? Objection. I think I've forgotten what we're debating, to be honest with you. Do you think we're debating anything? Objection. I'm not even sure what your original question was. You used the word gendered. What do you mean by that? You mean, what did I mean when I wrote it? What do you understand the word gendered to mean generally? Something that would be encapsulated by one's gender. Maybe a behavior that is used in one way for one gender and another way for another. Is that what you meant when you used it here? When I used it here, I was agreeing with Stephanie Jones because it appears to me that she was needing to vent and share that they are calling her aggressive or tough or intense. And she says here that they wouldn't say a man was aggressive or tough or intense. So I'm just trying to make her feel better. Again, I can't remember exactly what I was feeling, but it looks to me like I'm saying, yeah, of course not. It's gendered. Did you find her to be aggressive or tough or intense? There were times when I called her Mama Bear because of her aggression, which I said endearingly, but I didn't know. I didn't know the Stephanie that she was inferring people or accusing her to be. Interesting. You had not experienced these kind of things from her yourself. Objection, objection. No, I hadn't. Did you read the Business Insider article? No. You never read it? No. You don't have a view one way or another as to whether it was fair or unfair. I never read it, so I couldn't. Okay, I'm going to hand you another document. I will take that. That was the exhibit number. This is exhibit 2. The one you have is exhibit 1. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Which is a document. It's a text thread between you and Jamie Heath and Jennifer Abel, dated July 3rd, 2024. We're getting to the juicy bit. I might have to do this in more than one part, by the way, but I'm really hoping we get to a certain part that I can do a little bit of a deep dive into, which relates to Scooter Braun. It's a text thread between you and Jamie Heath and Jennifer Abel, dated July 3rd, 2024, marked with a bait stamp, blah, 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 blah. Do you see that? This is the same date we were just looking at as in Exhibit 1. Do you recall this text thread? Yes, I do. And in this text thread, you were working through with Jen Abel and Jamie Heath the content of the statement you are going to provide to Business Insider in support of Stephanie. Is that right? He just can't, he's an actual author of 2 books, and yet he can't write a single statement by himself. Can I refresh my memory for a second and just read it? Please review it. Oh, Friedman's entered the chat. Mr. Frieden, please read the entire document. Justin, what a wonderful guy, the great man that he is. Thank you. Turn for me to the page that ends in the bait stamp 15480, please. You will see a text from you at the top. It's marked 8:10 p.m. where you say, how's this, Jamie? I made it a little bit more me. Is this too much? And then you draft or paste a draft statement below. Do you see that? Uh-huh. Okay, in that statement you write, Stephanie has always been an exceptional publicist, a member of my brain trust. Not just for me personally, but also for my company Wayfarer Studios. Do you see that? Uh-huh. Was that an accurate statement at the time you wrote it? Yeah, I think to be truly fair, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but still true. Are you in the habit of providing press with statements that are exaggerated? Objection. I would not call it a habit. I was just helping a friend. To help yourself or a friend, do you think you would provide the press with statements that were exaggerated from the truth? Objection. I don't think I provided any statements of like myself. This was a very rare thing for me. A very rare thing for you to make a nice statement about someone else. Wow. Sorry, just having a sip of water. In this case, did you provide the press a statement that was exaggerated from the truth? Brain trust, looking back, feels, no, I would say that's okay, actually. Do you? because I did call on her from time to time. So I would say that I think it's fine. Do you think it's accurate? At the time, I do think it's accurate. Okay. Yeah. Sure about that, Justin? Then you go on and say, she's an incredibly hard worker and she finds a way to be available at all hours of the day and has gone above and beyond to ensure the success of not just me, but my company. Do you see that? I do. Was that a true statement at the time? I believe so. Then you write, she has built an amazing team who I also work very closely with, and I have never had a moment of hesitation in trusting her. Do you see that? Yes. Was that a true statement at the time? It was. And then you go on to write, her advice and guidance has always been spot on. I have never personally witnessed her mistreat anyone, and on the contrary, she has always treated me and my team with the utmost respect like family. Do you see that? I do. Was that an accurate statement at the time? It was. And this, in sum and substance, is similar to the statement that you ultimately did provide to Katie Warren, who was a reporter at Business Insider, right? I would assume so. Okay. This is going to be marked as Exhibit 3. It's an email from you to Katie Warren and then from Katie Warren to you. Do you remember sending this email to Katie Warren? I believe I do. Do you remember her email back to you? I believe I do. All right. And if you read the statement that you sent to Katie Warren, is there anything untrue in this statement? Do you mind if I just read it? Please do. Anything untrue in that statement? No. Okay. And then Katie Warren responds, thank you so much for sending this. Are you free for a quick call sometime today or tomorrow? Do you see that? I do. Did you ever have a call with Katie Warren? I did not. Did you ever respond to this email? I did not. Okay. Did you ever, other than the text thread that we looked at a moment ago in Exhibit 2, between you and Jen Abel and Jamie Heath, did you ever have a phone conversation with Jen Abel about the topic of the Business Insider story? I believe I did. More than one? I don't think so. What do you recall about that phone conversation? I believe Jamie Heath was on the call too. I don't think there was ever a one-on-one call. Okay. What do you recall about that conversation? I recall telling them both I felt uncomfortable being asked to email a reporter directly when I was going through a lot. And I remember Jamie being also effusive about and saying that and agreeing that we should. I wanted to, but I just wasn't. It was just an uncomfortable position to be in because she was my publicist and she was asking me to make a statement for her. And I just remember feeling weird about it. Wow. I remember Jen saying how much it would mean to Stephanie if I did it. And also, I remember Jen kind of acting more like a publicist in the situation and saying, and yet, if you're not comfortable, you don't have to. But she would really appreciate it if you did. So Jen was kind of serving as like the as my publicist in that moment because Stephanie in that moment was kind of reaching out outside of a publicist, more like, hey, I'm in crisis, I need help. And then ultimately, I decided to do it for her. So you expressed to Jen Abel that this made you a little bit uncomfortable. Jamie Heath and Jen Abel. Jen Abel. Yeah. But you never expressed that directly to Stephanie Jones, did you? No, I didn't. And Jen Abel told you on the call, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to, in sum or substance, right? No, she said, only do what you're comfortable with, basically. Again, I don't remember the exact words, but she was leaning more towards it would really help. It would be really helpful for Stephanie. And also, I think she understood that somebody needed to say to me, like, don't feel pressured. Like, there's other people also giving statements. You understood that there were other people, clients, giving statements in support of Stephanie Jones for that article. Stephanie texted me that others were. Okay. Did your statement ultimately appear in the Business Insider article? As I said, I never read it. I don't know. Okay. Did there come a time when Jen Abel suggested to you or Jamie Heath that you should withdraw your statement from Katie Warren? Not that I recall. You were never told that there came a time when Jen Abel suggested to Jamie Heath that you should pull back the statement that you sent to Katie Warren? I have no memory of that. Is that something that you would have expected Jamie Heath to tell you at the time? Objection. If that happened, I would assume he would. But you have no memory of ever being told that? No, almost the opposite. Do you know if a decision was ever made by Jamie Heath to keep the statement or to withdraw it? Objection. No, I sent the statement, so I assumed it ended up in the article, or it didn't. I don't know. Okay. If Jen Abel thought at any point in time that maybe you should withdraw the statement that you sent, would you have expected her to raise that directly with you? Objection. Thinking about that period, no. Jamie was handling a lot of conversations. I think I was finishing. I don't remember what month this was. But I imagine I was finishing or working on the movie, and I oftentimes didn't want to be part of most conversations. Did you generally defer to Jamie Heath to make decisions like this? Yes. Did you generally defer to him? I'm sorry, I need to go back. Decisions like what? For example, like whether or not you should pull a statement in support of Stephanie Jones that you had already sent to a reporter. Objection. Like I said, I wasn't aware of any of that. I wasn't aware that I was ever going to pull a statement. Okay, did you generally defer to Jamie Heath to make decisions around an interface with publicity matters with your publicity team? Yeah, yes. Okay, so you weren't picking out TikToks and Paris Hilton articles and sending them and saying, this wasn't our guy, was it? Okay, in the period around July, August, September of 2024, there was quite a bit of press activity around you in the film. Did you generally defer to Jamie Heath to handle that with your publicist without you? Objection. I think everybody knew at that time that I was going through a lot, and I trusted Jamie to always do what was right. And so, yeah, I don't think people were coming directly to me at that time for anything. Maybe he had DND on his phone. Do you think it's important to be personally involved in decisions like that? Objection. Decisions like what? Like what is happening around the publicity of what you might term a crisis in connection with your making of It Ends With Us. Objection. Well, I remember in being involved. I don't think I said I wasn't involved. Do you remember? If I did, then I misspoke. Do you remember making decisions in connection with that? Objection. I think you'd need to be more specific on what decisions are. Any decisions. Did you feel like a decision maker or did you feel like someone else was a decision maker? Objection. I can't remember many decisions needing to be made at that time, but I know I was doing press in a very difficult period. So I think that there were definitely things that related to maybe business or high level things that I wasn't involved with, nor did I want to be. Do you think it would have been weird to retract a statement of support that you had previously sent to a reporter? Objection. I think weird is a do you want to ask me with a different word? Would you have been surprised to learn that Jen Abel asked Jamie to retract the statement of support that you sent for Stephanie Jones to the Business Insider reporter? I would be surprised because I don't think or know she did. Checks notes. Can you pull tab 55, please? We're going to mark as Exhibit 4 a text conversation between Jen Abel and Jamie Heath, dated August 9th, 2024, that bears the stamp 16169. Can you read through this for me, please? Okay. Have you ever seen this before? I have not. Were you aware before you just looked at this that this conversation took place? Do you recall events surrounding a Daily Mail article that was published on the topic of tensions between you and Blake Lively on August 8th, 2024? I don't remember the specifics of it, but I definitely remember there were articles coming out around that time. And do you remember a big issue around whether or not Stephanie Jones had ever spoken to the Daily Mail around that time? August? Yeah, Justin, August is when your film came out. 8th. Yes, I do. Okay. You see here that Jen texts Jamie a Daily Mail article that says, at least in this version of the web link, it ends with Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni feud, right? That is what it says. Okay. And this is right around the time the articles started appearing in the Daily Mail that were kind of first publicizing this alleged feud in traditional media, right? I don't know, but I will take your word for it. I don't know if Daily Mail was the first or I remember there was a lot of things happening during that period. And that was a big deal, right? When the press started picking up this alleged feud between you and Blake. Yeah. It was the reason you brought on crisis communications. Because can you ask that question again? Because the press had started picking up and reporting on an alleged feud between you and Blake. Because press was talking about it, yeah. And it was becoming a public crisis, even though you never read any articles, so you didn't actually know if it was becoming a public crisis. Okay. And then right after Jen sends Jamie that article, she says, as read, just thought about something. Should I try to get Justin's letter removed from Business Insider? Do you see that? I do. Okay. I would need to tell her on background that both Justin and I always mess up important lines. I would need to tell her on background that both Justin and Wayfarer have severed ties. Do you see that? I do. Had Justin and Wayfarer severed ties with Jones Works at this point? I have no idea. On August 9th, I don't know. Do you have any idea why Jen Abel would be suggesting to Jamie that you leak on background that Justin and Wayfarer have severed ties with Jones Works? Objection. I remember Jamie sending a text message that he just told me about to Stephanie, basically saying, "Stop, stop, don't make any phone calls," and that if she continued, that we would be leaving. But I don't remember the date of that. I don't remember where this is in that timeline. I would need to see. So I don't know if at this point he had already told her that we were leaving, or, yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know anything. I'm just Justin Baldoni. Jen Abel still worked for Jones Works at this point, right? To my knowledge, yes. Was Jen Abel read in on the issue of Wayfarer and you severing ties with Jones Work by this point? Objection. Can you say that again? Was Jen Abel read in on the issue of you and Wayfarer potentially severing ties with Jones Works by this point? Objection. By read in? Was she aware of it? Was she aware of it? I wasn't privy to any of those conversations, so I don't know. Okay, Jen Abel goes on to say, not. So, not sure if your lawyers would recommend that, as she would need to print that, and not sure if that would cause any issues. Do you see that? I do. Do you have any idea what that's about? I shouldn't assume, but I imagine it's our lawyers at Wayfarer Studios, our business affairs, but why would it cause issues if a reporter were to print that Wayfarer and you had severed ties with Jones Works at this point? I can't speculate. I'm not a part of any of this. I'm Justin. You see, Jamie Heath writes Grammy Award winner in quotes and then writes dummy. Oh, do you see that? Yes. Is Jones Works a Grammy Award winning publicist? I didn't know publicists could win Grammys. I didn't either. But I'm asking you, Jamie is a Grammy Award winner. So, and he always says dummy. Yeah, that's what he says. That's what he says. Anyway, like that's a joke. Like we always call each other dummy. So I think maybe, I'm just guessing, he was quoting the way someone described him because he had won a Grammy at one point in a previous career. Okay, but I don't know. Okay, I wasn't on this text chain. Do you know that? Did you know at the time that Jen Abel was speaking to Katie Warren, the reporter at Business Insider? Until you said Katie Warren, I didn't even know who she was, so no. Well, you sent your statement in support of Steph to Katie Warren, right? Yeah, but I didn't know what her name was. You didn't. Okay. Did you have any knowledge around this time that Jen Abel was personally speaking to the reporters at Business Insider about the article that came out about Steph? No. Okay. Did you have any knowledge at the time that Melissa Nathan was behind the article at Business Insider that came out about Steph? Objection. What do you mean behind? Oh, come on, Justin. Honestly, Justin, you can't expect us to believe you are this dumb. What did you hire her for if you don't know what her being behind an article means? Come on. Was a primary driving force behind getting it published and its negative slant. Objection. No. Did he just say no? He had no knowledge that Melissa Nathan was behind the article. Not a clue. You know that today? Objection. Are you telling me that? I'm asking you if you're aware of that. No. Okay. Have you ever heard that before? Object. That she wrote the article? That she planted the article? No. Because she was angry at Steph. I'm sorry, Melissa was angry at Steph? Correct. So she planted the article? Yes. Oh, I didn't know Melissa at this time. At the time you hired Melissa, did you have any inkling that she was behind the negative article in Business Insider about Steph? Objection. I just learned about it from you, so no. Okay. Is that something you would have wanted to know before you hired her? Objection. Hold on. Would I have wanted to know that the PR person that I was hiring to handle a crisis had evidently, according to you, not that I don't trust you, written an article about my, at the time, current PR person? I would, yeah, yes. Okay. Sorry, that was a lot. You listened in on part of Melissa Nathan's deposition, right? Parts? Did you listen in on the part where she and I were discussing her participation in the Business Insider article against Steph? I believe I only listened in for the end of one of the days, and I don't believe it was with you. I don't. But to answer your question, no. Do you want to take a break? In a couple of minutes we can. Okay. You've been holding it for long. We can go ahead. Let me just ask one question or two last questions, and then we can go ahead and take a lunch break. Sure. You said you recalled a point in time when an issue arose about Stephanie Jones potentially contacting the Daily Mail in this early August time period, and that causing a big issue, right? Objection. I remember that. I remember, yes. Okay, up until that point in time, did you feel you still had a friendly relationship with Stephanie Jones? Friendly, yeah. Up until that point in time, did you have any reason to take any issue with anything that Stephanie Jones had done or was doing on your behalf? Objection. Yeah, yes. What? I remember feeling specifically as it related to the Business Insider article, the phone calls I had with her, I remember feeling like she wasn't personally my personal, not as an expert or anything like that. I just remember feeling personally like she seemed off and maybe wasn't of sound mind. What do you mean when you say wasn't of sound mind? I remember feeling that she was more worried about her own reputation than what I believe to be her work as a publicist in, I would say, taking care of ours. Do you think there is something unsound of mind to be worried about your own reputation as a publicist more than your clients' reputations? Objection. No, it was more. In the conversations I had with her, she felt different than previous conversations. Her speech at times was a bit erratic. She was like bouncing back and forth between things, between it just felt like any person, when you have a relationship with someone and they appear different than they had the last few years of knowing them. That's what made me not sure. Not sure if she was of sound mind. Not sure if I felt, let me put it this way. At that point in time, I was grateful that she was not the lead to represent me personally. Who did you think was the lead to represent you personally? The person who had been for the last 4 years or so, or 3 years? Who was that? Jennifer Abel. Okay. Do you think that in the time since these lawsuits were filed against you, that you had behaved to anyone differently than you did before? I mean, isn't this like textbook gaslighting? He literally described his feelings towards her. Yes. Do you think the stress of having this kind of public negative spotlight on you has caused that? Objection. Yes. Do you find it distressing to have negative public articles being written about you? I do. Are you aware of any smear websites? Oh, here we go, guys. We're getting onto the smear websites. Or social media accounts that were being published about Stephanie Jones in 2024. Objection. No. You're not aware of that at all? No. I'm not even going to respond. Okay, you are aware of a very negative. Sorry, are you saying, was I aware or am I aware? Were you aware at the time? No, I mean, I am aware that there was a website that's become a whole, right, I think, a part of this case, but I was not aware then. Okay, you weren't aware at this time that, oh, wait, what? You were having these conversations with Stephanie Jones where you have called into question her mental state, that she was dealing with websites and social media handles under the captions of things like Stephanie Jones leaks and Stephanie Jones lies, that were peddling a bunch of defamatory, highly negative statements about her. Objection. I wasn't aware of any of that. Okay. Why did you fire her then? Sorry. Okay. You were aware of a Business Insider article that was being written about her that was highly negative, right? Objection. Again, I don't know what was in it or if it was highly negative, but I know that it upset her a lot. Okay. As someone who now yourself has experienced very negative public media attention, can you understand how her experiencing very negative public unwarranted media attention might have been distressing to her at the time? Objection. May I answer without a yes or no? You can answer in whatever way you think is best. If I had a relationship with my doctor, oh my God. Why do I feel like this is going to be another Justin Baldoni clanger? If I had a relationship with my doctor who was going to perform surgery on me for the last 5 years, and I went in to meet him before surgery, and he started acting strange, and then I found out that he was being attacked and he had a lot of personal drama. Maybe he was going through a divorce. Wow. I wouldn't want him to operate on me because I'm paying for his services. I wonder how many surgeons are going through divorce while perfectly able to carry out operations. I'm just saying. I would say it's pretty high. I'm not an expert. So while I understand, especially the way you're phrasing it now, how emotionally disturbing it was for Stephanie, she was my publicist and I was paying for her services. And for me, having been through what I've been through the last year, it's the reason why I wouldn't take on any jobs, because I wouldn't be of sound mind to do my job to the best of my ability while dealing with that stress. Are you of sound mind to do your job to the best of your ability to this date? Objection. I don't think I understand your question. You said you wouldn't be of sound mind to do your job to the best of your ability in the circumstances of what you've been through. Do I understand that? Yes, we just need to define job and then I can agree with you. Well, I'm just using your words. Yeah, so job. So what I was meaning by job is if I'm being paid for services, okay, and that's the reason that you haven't taken on any jobs since this lawsuit has been pending? Objection. No, there's not many jobs being offered to me at the moment. And I bet if you were offered one, you'd flip and jump at it. So, sorry. I don't know if that's what she's getting at. Do you feel you are of sound mind? Objection. When? Now. I don't believe I'm doing a job. I'm just telling the truth. So, yes, I do. Did you ever express to Stephanie Jones at the time these sentiments that you're expressing to me now about her mental state or fitness to do her job for you as a publicist? It was my feeling that that would have been, in my opinion, unnecessary and would have caused her more pain. Is that a no? Objection. That is a no. You didn't fire her at the time because of the sentiments that you're expressing to me now. Is that right? I didn't personally fire her, no. And Wayfarer did not fire her either as a result of the sentiments you're expressing to me now. Is that right? Objection. No, because Jennifer Abel was our main point of contact, my publicist. Okay, thank you. We can take a lunch now. Yeah. Oh, okay. This is how long have I been on? I I can't remember where I started at. Wait, 22:34. I started at, I think I've been on for 3 hours. I think I'm going to have to pause because it's been a long one. It makes him uncomfortable to hear about gender dynamics he can't make himself the victim of. Yeah, I feel like he's not been able to identify it. And I'm not a therapist, and he goes to a lot of therapies and men's groups. But I noticed that whenever he's asked to literally express empathy towards someone, he can't do it. It's so weird. It's really weird. It's like he can't genuinely for himself see when he's caused someone, when he's done something to upset someone and he needs to like check himself about it. He only seems to understand that when he's called out about it. It's very bizarre. And anyway, Oh, well, I was hoping we were going to get onto the smear websites, but obviously that took a bit longer than what I was expecting. So I will come back on tomorrow. How about that? We'll come back tomorrow for a smear websites deep dive, because it's something we know all about. Yeah, also I love all Kayla's comments are really good. This one I want to put up. Oh, before I go. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Colleen Hoover announcing her cancer diagnosis on top of this feels like a cruel joke on her. Yeah, exactly. I mean, where's the empathy for that? Doubt if we'll see it from him. I can't find your comment, Kayla, but it was really good. All your comments are really good. Anyway, people will have to look through the chat. Listening to him contradict himself in real time is something else. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny how we see it and his supporters seem unable to. In their eyes, he can do nothing wrong. It's so weird. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining. I hope this was useful. I've tried to stick to the transcript as much as I can, because I doubt if anyone else is doing that right now. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out. Have a lovely rest of the evening.